Hi everyone, I feel like it's been quite a while since we've just had one of these chatty videos. We've been really busy, so stick with it. We are still making videos, okay? Today, we have the next installment of A Woman of the Bible.
Yay! I'm very excited about that.
Please forgive if we seem a bit bright on this side because we have a really bright light and we are filming this at night time.
Because we're so busy.
So there's no natural light coming in here, okay?
Yeah.
So if you've just stumbled upon us, me and my wife, we make faith-based videos. We're both Christians, so we'll often talk about life and our faith. So hey, why not consider subscribing? Costs you nothing, helps out a lot. Today we're looking at Mary from the Bible.
Yeah, as in Mary, Jesus' mother.
Yeah,
which obviously, with it being so close to Christmas, that's quite a nice little tie-in.
It's quite an important one.
It is. And I think that she's probably one of the most famous women in the Bible. Like, most people will know who she is.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, birthing God.
Yes, it's pretty
God
amazing.
himself. My goodness, God in the flesh.
So, we obviously read Mary's story in the Gospels,
Yeah.
and we start out on a journey when she gets the visitation from the angel who says to her that she has found favor with God and she is going to be the one to bring Jesus into the world. So then after that we kind of go along that journey with her. So when she then has to go and tell her fiance, Joseph,
who, can we just add, is sort of the unsung hero in this story because, I mean, come on, okay, imagine you're in Joseph's shoes. Your fiance comes to you and says, Joseph, I've got something to tell you. I'm pregnant. I'm pregnant. But don't worry, okay? It's not like I've cheated on you or anything, okay? I just want you to know. The Holy Spirit impregnated me.
obviously from that point, she then goes on, and we know that Joseph is visited by an angel himself who kind of confirms Mary's story, which is one of the major reasons.
Helps him out.
Yeah.
And Joseph, what a champ.
Must have had a lot of faith.
He just took it on the chin, and he was like, why wouldn't that happen? Why wouldn't that be the case?
And then obviously they go to Bethlehem, she has the baby, and then she is mentioned a few other times in the Gospels as we go throughout Jesus' life. So, what can we learn from Mary as a woman from the Bible? And we have picked out 3 points that we think we can learn from Mary.
Yeah.
So, our first one is that she was an ordinary woman, and the significance of her life didn't come from how much money she had, how pretty she was, her educational qualifications, her status, anything like that. I've forgotten what I was saying. Sorry. Her significance came from the way she lived her life and how she honoured God through the way she lived her life, and because of that, she found favour with him.
Now this, I cannot stress this enough, okay? This is so important, guys, because this is wrapped up in all sorts of broader things with your Christology. So when you look at the very nature and person of Christ, okay, this is so important because he chose to come to Mary in this area, Nazareth. He came from Mary in this area that was not respected. It wasn't rich, it wasn't affluent, it wasn't important, it wasn't significant by the world's standards. And yet we see that in this narrative, God of all creation chose to be birthed into this place. This would be the start of his journey. And if we can just contrast that with the world today and the values that are placed upon us. Me and you both know that people measure each other by how successful you are, by how much money you've got, by how many followers you've got on social media. And yet we're told that actually as Christians, as hard as it is, you've got to rise above that because your significance is not going to come from those things. And we're told that actually pursuing just selfish, vain ambition will actually take you to some really unhealthy places. And we see this in the very birth of Christ. Before he even went through his life of humility and servant leadership, his very birth is an act of humility. Come into that area. In that time, he didn't choose to be born from a king or a queen of earthly reign. He knew what he was doing. He was very intentional with this location.
Yeah.
And
so obviously, no matter what situation or circumstance you're in, it doesn't mean that God can't use you for some really amazing purposes.
Don't feel that you're defined by your job or how much money you make or whatever. other people play those games, but you don't need to compare yourself with them.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Okay, so the second thing that we can learn from Mary is that she was available. So she was available. So in Luke, during the time that the angel visited her, Mary said, "I am the Lord's servant. May it be done to me as you have said."
Yeah.
So she was willing to kind of have this purpose put upon her, and she was available to have that purpose put upon her and available to be used by God. In life, they might present themselves and we might feel inadequate for some of these opportunities. We might feel like we are not prepared for these things that we might get called to do. I don't know what's wrong with me today. We might get called to do, or that we have the opportunity to do. We might not feel suitable for the task. But what we can always remember is that it's not about our suitability, it's about the way that God calls us and our relationship with Him, and it's about Him and it's not about us. And I think obviously with Mary, she was a young woman. Obviously women in that culture wouldn't have been looked at the same way as women in our culture. Most people think she was a teenager, so that again would kind of have put that in a different perspective. So in every way, she wasn't the person you would maybe have thought would have been available. Her life was full of amazing joy in the fact that she got to have Jesus, she got to birth Jesus and have her son and bring up her son with Joseph, but then also pain in the fact that she had to walk through knowing that she was going to then have to let him go, and ultimately he was going to give himself as a sacrifice and suffer a horrendous death.
Well, I always wonder, because obviously the Bible skims over so much of Jesus' youth. I just wonder what those interactions were like between Mary and Jesus. You see a glimpse of it when he's teaching in the temple and whatnot, but I just wonder what those interactions were like, because obviously they knew he is meant for something special, and maybe the grand narrative had not yet been revealed fully to them. Maybe they didn't necessarily understand the implications of what was about to come, but that is a message in itself, how what you're doing right now might not seem so big, but actually the implications in years to come, it could be something that's preparing you for some amazing event.
Yeah, and it says, the Bible calls Mary like the most blessed among women. But it doesn't mean that she was promised a life of comfort. No. I think just like a really fun...
Yeah, that's true. She didn't get...
She didn't... Even though she was called the most blessed woman in the Bible, perhaps...
Didn't mean we're going to send you to Hollywood, Mary.
Yeah. But just a really funny story, and I think that this is kind of just a lot about our perspective. When I was younger, so when I was, 5 and 6, and we'd put on nativities in primary school, so we'd put on a show at Christmas and we'd act out the Christmas story. And I always wanted to be Mary. Like, literally, every year I'd sit there and I'd be like, that is the role that I want. I am made for this role. I go to church. I can wear blue. It'd be amazing. And literally, I wanted to play Mary every single time because I just saw it as like the most special role of the Christmas.
I am Mary.
Yeah, literally, I wanted to be Mary.
I will bring joy to the world.
But I never got to be Mary because I can't sing, and Mary was always a singing role. I usually ended up being the star or the angel that didn't sing and had to just mime.
At least you were not a sheep.
That's true. But the reason that I kind of wanted to be that role was because it was kind of seen as like the most important, the most exciting. She got to have the baby and it all seemed really good. And I think sometimes our perspective, we can look at things and we can think, oh, look at all the good things, look at the great things about life, look at how exciting it was. Whereas actually she showed incredible strength in some of the things that she went through, and it wasn't all good. She might have always had a good attitude about it,
which is something we have to learn from, because that's, I think, one of the most misleading things that modern Christianity can portray, that come to Christ and everything's gonna line up right, that he's gonna, that he's just gonna take care of everything, that you're gonna be healthy, wealthy, happy all the time. You see from Mary and from all the apostles that being blessed does not necessarily mean that everything's gonna work out in the way you perceive it, and that even today, that is one of the hardest things to get your head around, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because we equate being blessed with being happy, and there's nothing wrong with being happy. We all want to be happy. I want to be happy. You want to be happy. Hopefully you guys want to be happy and are chasing that, but we have to understand that the alignment of how God views blessed and happiness, it may be different in some form. And as what Mary went through and many other people in the Bible, the end destination might not be to go to Hollywood, so to speak. Do you know what you get what I'm saying with that? I don't specifically mean Hollywood, but that idea, because we have to be real. Hard times are going to come, and you need to be prepared for them. And when you're in them, and you need to know that God's still with you through that, and not be sold this false belief that actually, well, because this storm has come, perhaps God's not there to begin with. So actually, you need to be aware that,
that's really good.
Does that make sense? No?
And it says in the Bible, in a little bit where it's talking about Mary and these events, it says that she stored these things up and treasured them in her heart. And I think that a lot of the time we just kind of have to reflect and think about the good things and the bad things, and just kind of the person that we are being made to be.
Yeah.
So that was our Women in the Bible about Mary. We hope that you enjoyed it.
Just some questions. What do you think about Mary? The story. What does it mean to you? What does it teach you? And just in your own life, more to reflect on. What are you chasing right now? And what do you think God's blessing means to you? You know, perhaps you could leave that in a comment. What does it mean to be blessed by God? Let us know what you think. We're interested. As always, like we said, I know some of these videos we've not been getting them out as quick. Just a very busy season of life. For those who are sticking to the end of the video, thank you. Stick with us. We'll be there. Don't worry. And
Yes. So we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.